Hi guys and welcome to my real life. I'm Buddy1927 real life Buddy Walter, and this is episode 4. I know I haven't done one of these in a little over a month, but I've been having some issues, and I'm actually going to talk about one of my issues today. We've had Thanksgiving, it's now close to Christmas and New Year's, and one of the things one of the diseases I have um, is called diabetes. And this is actually, if you're a diabetic, this is actually the worst time of year for you because you got all the food during Thanksgiving, you got all the food for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's. This November and December are probably, don't forget Halloween with all that candy. Uh, th- this part of the year is actually tough for a diabetic. Um, if you're a diabetic, over the years, in over the 30 years I worked in EMS, I treated a lot of diabetics before I even became a diabetic. Diabetes is a disease that actually there's no cure for it. You can control it with medicine and diet, um, and it does a lot of stuff to your body. It slowly kills you. You might not die. You can die from diabetes, or you can die from a heart attack caused by diabetes, kidney failure caused by diabetes, stroke caused by diabetes, um, and there's other ones like I also have diabetic neuropathy in both my legs, and it's actually grown up my side. Diabetes affects your whole body. You might have a cut or a wound that doesn't heal right, but if you're diabetic, you got to learn how to control your stuff. One of the things most of the diabetic calls I answered are either during the summertime where they're not eating enough, not drinking enough fluids, and they hypovolemia sets in, or um, heat stroke or stuff like that, because diabetic is they go to the bathroom a lot, and if you don't, especially during the summertime, if you don't drink plenty of fluids, that can actually cause a heat stroke, and that can also kill you too. So, but during the holiday seasons, there's a lot of things. There's two types of diabetes. There's di- diabetes type 1 and diabetes type 2. I'm diabetic type 2. Um, Diabetes type 1 is mainly you're born with it. And basically what diabetes is, there's two things can happen to you when you have diabetes. Either um, your body produces too much insulin and you don't get enough sugar into your system. It sets up an imbalance in your body, and your body can react to that. The other type, the body doesn't, which is what I have. The body does not produce enough enough insulin, so I have too much sugar in my body, which also has the same effects. My sugar can go way high, which at one time it was at 850. It can also drop too below. My sugar has gone down to 32 below, and diabetes is something that your body gets used to, but the highs and lows hurt you. And sometimes if you're what they call a high sugar level and you're say at 400 and you drop down to 280, that could be the same effect on you as if somebody who had a blood sugar of 35, because the sudden drop, your body got accustomed to it. Now it doesn't have enough sugar that it was used to having. So you got to learn how to taper your sugar, control your sugar, and go from there. One thing I like to bring up, um, there are diabetics that have insulin pumps. And I had this one patient, and it's always around this time of year. Um, he would go out, and he had an insulin pump on him, and he'll go out and eat a feast and just pump up his insulin. That's not good. You want the insulin pump is set at certain levels and stuff like that, so he'll go have a whole bunch of sugary stuff, cakes, pies, cookies, Christmas candy, Halloween candy, sodas that pack full of sugar. And he was a diabetic too, like I am, and that's actually the worst thing you can do for yourself. But he would just hit his insulin pump up the insulin. That's it. He did not control his diet. He did not follow the doctor's orders. 9 times out of 10, we got there. He was in a diabetic coma, and we had to treat him. And a couple times he actually coded on us because his sugar level dropped so low for him because he has so much insulin in him that the counter effect, his heart actually stopped beating. We brought him back to life. But his philosophy was he wanted something to eat. He ate it. He just pumped his insulin up to increase the insulin to absorb the sugar. It doesn't work that way. He did eventually die. Unfortunately, I actually went to the house. We got a call that his sugar was gone and all that, and it happened during the night. And he died in his sleep. He was past where we could not do anything. Rigor mortis had already set in and everything. And his sugar, he had a bunch of insulin in himself and not enough sugar to balance it out, and his heart stopped, and he died in his sleep. So follow your doctor's instructions. I'm going to pull up something. If you're not a diabetic, but you do have diabetes in your family, these are some of the signs and symptoms you need to be checking out for yourself. Always. And I come from a family that has diabetes in it, and I didn't know I was diabetic. I was diagnosed over 10 years ago now with it, and I didn't realize I was diabetic, but because I had diabetes in my family, I had my doctor check periodically my check for diabetes, because you want to try to catch this early, because the earlier you can catch it, the earlier you can control it, the better you'll be. So here are some of the signs and symptoms. I found this little picture on the internet. If you're always tired, that could be a sign of diabetes. Go to the bathroom a lot, could be a sign of diabetes. Sudden weight loss is also a sign of diabetes. Also, sudden weight gain is also a sign of diabetes. Wounds that don't heal properly, or that take a long time to heal, that's a sign. That could be a sign of diabetes. Sexual problems, that could be a sign of diabetes, guys. Always hungry, another sign of diabetes. Blurry vision, another sign of diabetes. Numbness or tingling in your hands and feet, another sign of diabetes. Always thirsty, another signs of diabetes. And for you women, vaginal infections could also be a sign of diabetes. So if you have one or any or all these symptoms, check with your doctor, especially if you have a family history of diabetes. Do not try to treat it yourself. Do not try. If the doctor gives you medicine, take your medicine. Follow the doctor's orders if you are diabetic. Control your diet. When I was diagnosed with diabetes, at that time I actually weighed 325 pounds. I live here in North Carolina, and I would drink sweet tea off and on, but not that much. My big hang up was Dr. Pepper. I would buy a case of Dr. Pepper a week. At the same time, I was also working, and that was just for the house. That's 24 bottles of Dr. Pepper that will last me 7 days. And that was just for the house. I was also working in EMS at the time, 24-hour shifts. So 3 days a week, I wasn't at home. So that 24 bottles of soda, diet, Dr. Pepper, not diet, but of Dr. Pepper that will last me a week was only lasting me 4 days. So that's a lot of soda in 4 days. And when I was at work, I would buy one, maybe 2 liters of Dr. Pepper. And of course, I will also drink sweet tea and stuff like that. And I was fat. I'll admit it, I was fat. I'm now down to 175 pounds. I feel a lot better. At one point in time, my diabetes was controlled, but now it's not. I try to follow my doctor's instructions. I also try to make sure I keep on my diet, okay, and maintain my diet. Watch what I eat. I try to stay away from sugary stuff. I try to stay away from a lot of pastas or starch, because starch turns into sugar in your body. That's not good. I used to be an alcoholic, but I've been sober for over 30 years now. No, 25 years now. I've been sober for over 25 years. But alcohol is the worst thing for a diabetic. If you're a diabetic, you should not be drinking alcohol at all, because that alcohol turns into nothing but pure sugar in your body, which affects your diabetes. So you want to stay away from alcohol as much at all. Don't consume any alcohol at all, but maybe a glass of wine or a beer or two, but watch your consumption. And eating to help control your alcohol level does not work with diabetes, because all that alcohol automatically turns into sugar, and you're thus adding more sugar on top of it, because you got to remember, anything you eat will turn to sugar. It depends on how much sugar it turns into. So what you eat is, you got to figure out how much sugar, if you eat this, how much of it will turn into sugar, how much of it for vitamins and minerals and all this stuff. But your body produces this thing called ATP, which is basically sugar for your system, and you have to have some insulin to go with the sugar to help run your system. So control your diet. I've lost over 150 pounds. I've lost a person. Now, when I weighed 325 pounds, I didn't look like I weighed 320 pounds. I look like I weighed about maybe 230, 250. When I tell people I weighed 325 pounds, they didn't think I looked like I weighed 325 pounds. I wasn't mobily obese. I was wearing XL shirts, and I had a big waist, but I didn't look like it. But I did. I weighed 325 pounds. I'm down to 175 pounds. I'm controlling my diabetes, but because I got injured, that's the other thing about diabetes. You want to try to keep it under control as much as possible. Injuries to your body, because you have diabetes, makes you heal, takes a longer time to heal. It can also cause side effects of diabetes. Okay, and one of the side effects, because of my injuries, I developed diabetic neuropathy because of the injuries due to my back and the nerves damage that was done in my back and in my legs. That caused diabetic neuropathy because body couldn't compensate, and the diabetes took over and started the diabetic neuropathy. So now I am numb from the waist down. I can still walk. I still have muscle tone, but it's hard for me to sleep because of the diabetic neuropathy. I have pain shooting down my legs. It feels like my leg is totally, I have pins and needles up and down my legs. Or if you ever fell asleep, like your leg or your arm fell asleep. That's what it feels like constantly. It's the best way to describe it. So diabetes is a serious disease. It can kill you. It's in the top 10 of things that can kill you overall. And because diabetes, there's a lot of side effects to diabetes. It can cause your kidneys to shut down, then you have to go on dialysis. And once you're on dialysis, unless you get a kidney transplant, you're on it for life. And a lot of when I worked in EMS and also medical transport, I treated or transported a lot of people to dialysis or to the hospital because of the side effects of the dialysis. You're on a machine for 3 hours a day, 3 times a week to start off with. There's people that have to stay on, they have to go to dialysis 7 times a week. It goes from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7. And you're on there usually about 3 hours. I know patients are on there for 6 hours a day. That's a long time just sitting there while your blood is going through a machine and pumped back into your body. It's a long time. I've seen some of these patients, and the average lifespan once you go on dialysis is about 8 years. So once you're diagnosed with dialysis, your life expectancy is about 8 years. So that's not good. Now I know patients that have been on dialysis a lot longer. I've had one patient that's been on dialysis for 20 years. So it also depends on how you control your diabetes and how you follow the doctor's directions. But you must have a doctor, and I recommend a doctor that knows about diabetes. Not all doctors know the ins and outs of diabetes. I would recommend if your family doctor is not that knowledgeable, he might know the basics of diabetes, but there's doctors that specifically deal with diabetes. And that would be, if you can get one of those doctors, that would be a lot better for you. Now, your regular doctor can still treat you and help you control your diabetes, but if you can find a specialist that deals only with diabetes, that would even be better, because there's new advances, and because they specialize in diabetes itself, they're aware of new drugs, new procedures, new everything that's out there. They keep up to date, so it's a good idea. So diabetes is a killer. If you have a family history, see your doctor. Get checked regularly for it. Because I was 39, so yeah, 11 years ago. 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. Before, I mean, when I was 20 and most of my 30s, I felt fine. I slowly gained weight, but I mean, I could catch a cold and knock it out in 1 or 2 days. I'll get, if I got the flu, I can knock it out in 1 or 2 days. Now, since I'm a diabetic, my immune system is diabetes affects your immune system, and it takes a lot longer for me to get over a lot of this stuff. So make sure you control your diabetes. Watch what you eat. Remember, during the holidays, you can't take a break from diabetes. Control your diet. Just control your diet. And follow your doctor's instructions. It's very important, because eventually it will kill you. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. And there's other things like diabetic neuropathy. It can cause amputation of pinches, toes, fingers, arms, legs. Not controlled, because once you get an infection inside, your body's not, because of the diabetes, cannot fight it like a normal person can. So it can cause gangrene, which will can end up with amputation. So diabetes is a very serious disease to take care of. So I always would recommend that you follow your doctor's orders. If you don't have it, but you have a family history of it, check yourself. My grandmother, my father's mother had it. My father got diabetes. It does not skip a generation. Now, out of my mom and dad, I have a sister. I have diabetes. She doesn't. So you might get it, you might not get it in your family. But I got it, my sister didn't. So in this chance, I had a 50-50 chance of getting it, and I got it, and my sister didn't. So it's a disease that kills. So you need to be sure that you get it under control, get it checked. If you are diabetic, there's lots of foods out there that you can eat, but also limit the amount of food that you eat. I eat 5 small meals a day to try to regulate my sugar to keep it on an even plateau. I don't have one big meal a day. I don't have 2 big meals a day. I don't have 3 meals a day. I have 5 small meals a day that help me control. And if I'm hungry, I try not to. If I eat, I might eat a snack. I watch what I eat. I don't eat candy. I try to eat popcorn, which is starch, but a small portion of popcorn. Maybe some potato chip, which is also starch, but a small portion. So control what you eat. It can help save your life. So what I like to do right now is wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. I will see y'all next year. And if you like this video, please like us on YouTube. If you have any comments about this video, please leave your comments down below on my YouTube page. And if you haven't done yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That way you know when the latest videos I do comes out. I'd like to thank you again for watching, and have a good day, and happy holidays.